Siona God, hello, all Oshta afternoon. Good afternoon, Wado. Thank you for watching. So this is day 2 of reading Lone Wolf Alpha Squad Copy Over by James Rink. And let's get started. Mom and Dad were finally relieved to be free of their parenting chores. At the age of 20, away from home at last, I did my best to juggle a college life track, grades, and my luggage from the past. Come August 2000, the stress of all this began to mount. Every time I would try to sleep, I would feel chills and air movement over me while lying in bed, and sometimes I would sense something in my room watching me, and it caused me to wake up every hour or so in the night, which led to persistent insomnia problems, which still lingers to this day. In the midst of these sleep disturbances, I began to experience sleep paralysis episodes. This occurs when your brain waves are still in a deep dreaming pattern. When you're in the mindset, normally your body is paralyzed to keep you from injuring yourself while sleeping. But when your sleeping patterns go out of balance, like mine were at the time, it is possible to open your eyes while you're still dreaming and see into the spirit realm around you. This is a frightening experience, especially if you experience the paralysis that comes with it. Once I saw some weird looking black being with red eyes, a demon in my bedroom. Naturally, my sleeping problems. Okay, so this is how it reads. Naturally, my sleeping problems, and they steadily got worse. So there's some typos there. Then one early morning in September 2000, I woke up, and at the foot of my bed was an angel of light. This being had a beautiful golden aura which flooded my room with its love and wisdom. In this vision, the entity appeared to be about 3 feet high. He wore long flowing white robes. His skin was of a white complexion and his hair was long and brown. In his left hand, he was holding a golden torch that burnt blood. In his right hand, he held the sign of the Trinity. And this is what he depicted it as right there. So it says, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." Psalm 119, verse 105. Since this was the first angelic vision I'd ever had, I thought I was going mad. Then he vanished. Later, I came to understand this was a visit from Archangel Michael. 2 weeks later, I had a vision of Jesus on the cross. His head was hanging down from severe pain of crucifixion. He gathered his strength and rolled his head up and looked at me. Then I returned to the present. Other than the bizarre nature of these hallucinations, I assumed these were signs from God that I was in need of professional help, which later was something I wish I had never sought. When the psychiatrist asked me to describe my childhood problems, I was at a loss because there were so many years which I could not recall. Birthday parties, going to church as a kid, or playing with my sister. I have no memories of when I was 6, 7, or 8 years old. I remembered only a little up to the age of 10. I thought everyone else was like this. Okay. The psychiatrist diagnosed me with dissociative amnesia, so that's what that's called, and said my memory problems were due to all the crap from my childhood. Many years later, I had Dr. Bill Deagle, Deagle, to do a clairvoyant reading on me, and he saw my memory problems were as a result of traumatic brain injury and my operculum, operculum, left temporal lobe, which controls word finding and sequencing. You may notice that I sometimes slur words from time to time. Well, I got a good excuse. Between the amnesia and traumatic brain injury, a lot of things don't make sense. My problems were not limited to just memory recall. I was also suffering from bizarre psychosomatic pain in my genitals. I say it's bizarre because the doctors have no clue why it's happening. If I get an erection, I will suffer from a burning sensation for hours, and if I have an orgasm, I suffer from severe needle-like pains in the same place all day long, and they get progressively worse and worse until I sleep it off the next night. I have tried taking painkillers to knock out the pain, but nothing makes it go away, even if I keep popping more pills. I wish I could say something positive here, but I still haven't found a way to fix this problem yet, as I really don't know what is causing it. The good news is the pain has been slowly decreasing over the years, and for the most part is something I can manage with the help of a blood pressure medicine, which pretty much serves as a chemical chastity belt. Of course, it doesn't always work, and on those days I just shut down and stay bedridden. So the doctors narrowed down my conditions to OCD, depression, and ADHD, and put me on a medication protocol. Under the influence of the Paxil, the quality of my life began to diminish. I became even more depressed. I was sleeping nearly 16 hours a day, and I had these terrible shakes. I don't know why this product is on the market. It didn't work for me. In fact, it did the opposite. Later, I found out that Paxil was in the middle of a lawsuit for increasing the rate of suicide deaths in children. How ironic, an antidepressant that increases suicide. Surely the FDA must know how dangerous these products are. Oh, you know they do. After discontinuing Paxil, I began switching from medication to medication, which seemed to end in the same result, more depression and fatigue. My doctors kept telling me the same thing: we need to find the right one that works for you. Altogether, I tried 26 different medications. Some of them made me severely depressed, like Luvox, I don't know, Luvox. One antidepressant, Remeron, Remeron, okay? Sedated me for 22 hours. Good God. Desperate to try anything, I decided to take a more unorthodox approach. In 2003, I did 15 sessions of biofeedback. What they do is basically place electrodes on your head to read your brain's EEG, electrical activity. This information is then fed into a computer program which interfaces with your brain, allowing the user to retain their brainwave patterns by simply moving an object around on a computer screen. After a few sessions, the practitioner eventually settled on a PTSD protocol. Sadly, I never received the benefit I was promised, but it was odd. He told me I was the only patient that had received no benefits from biofeedback. It was like a wall was blocking my recovery. The pain of my anxiety and depression continued to deepen. By my early 20s, I started sleeping in my apartment's walk-in closet. At least there I felt safe. But my health was falling apart. The bad reactions I was having to the medications began to push my body overboard. I started developing horrible allergic reactions to almost everything I ate to reduce the pain I was in all the time. I would split my pills, reducing my dosage. But my doctor really frowned upon that. He insisted I was getting sick because I was violating the integrity of the pills and demanded that I continue the full dosage. At that age, I really didn't know any better. The American Medical Association and its counterpart, the FDA, know full well these pills don't cure anything, but only treat conditions. These medications simply don't work. They only serve to cover up the underlying symptoms of a deeper systemic problem. Absolutely. I had to learn the hard way that conventional doctors are not trained to recognize our mind, body, spirit connection, but instead serves as agents of evil for the pharmaceutical companies and the government, which allows them to peddle their poisons. I was now going down a slippery slope into a full-blown autoimmune disorder. This means my body was having trouble recognizing the particles that are good and bad, so instead would just attack everything. Because I was so out of balance in so many areas of my life, and because I was holding so many traumatic memories in my lower chakra system, my gut was no longer digesting food properly. I was severely bloated, overweight, and in pain from the allergies and a leaky gut condition from a severe candida yeast infection in my GI tract. At this low point in my life, I took the initiative to empower myself to become healthy again. Using natural herbs and vitamins, I slowly began to wean myself off meds. The health benefits I got from these natural approaches were so much better than I had ever had from any medication. At that point, something clicked inside me. I was convinced there was a conspiracy in the American healthcare system. The pharmaceutical corporations and government are only interested in maximizing profits and have no interest in the welfare of the people they claim to serve. That's why doctors are not trained with knowledge of natural supplements and dietary knowledge. By the time I stopped using medication, I was still suffering from the neuroses of my childhood. But now I had chronic fatigue, a systemic yeast infection in my gut, severe ADHD made worse due to my long-term exposure to my pharmaceutical lobotomy, excessively cold feet in the wintertime, and I still had my speech impediment. I suffered from severe pain due to candida-related food allergies. As a result, food became unappetizing and my weight soon dropped below 110 pounds. Good God. After giving up on conventional medicine in 2003, I gave myself an ultimatum. I would never believe what an expert says to be true unless I research it myself. I have slowly nursed myself back to health while educating and empowering myself. Looking back at this is painful to me. Even now, the memories remain scattered and shattered in my mind, and I don't like saying bad things about my family and those I love. If you love someone, is it right to be angry at their free will choice? Of course. I didn't mention the few times in my life where my parents tried to show me love, but even then, I was always on the edge because I would never know when they would strike me down again. Sure, my parents were about as incompetent as you can get when it comes to raising children, but I also chose this path before coming to this earth, and recognized that trauma and pain can be transmuted into a higher purpose. There is no reason any of this should be able to stop me from healing and integrating. and that's what I plan to do. So the following is my story of how I went about integrating myself and those who helped me get to where I am. It was at this point that I met Nate. Chapter 2, Evil in the Air. In 2004, I am 24 years old, going to college. Because of my health problems, I spend hours a day combing the internet looking for information to heal myself, as well as answers about life and God in general. One of my favorite places to frequent was the Yahoo chat rooms. Most of that time was spent finding other star seeds and indigos to network and become friends with, though at the time I wasn't trying to consciously seek them out. It was there in a Christian teens chat room that I first met Nathan. He lived in Des Moines, Iowa, and was 14 years old at that time. Despite the age difference, we shared similar experiences. Both of us had gone through a traumatic childhood and dealt with our pain with laughter. But it was getting late and we both had other things to do, so we soon lost contact with each other. And it says Nathan Wilder, shown here in August 2004. So that's the guy right there. A few months later, I forgot all about him. This is common on the internet. You talk to someone one day and then the next you forget all about them. But apparently he added me to his friends list. So out of the blue, Nate instant messages me. I nearly got thrown in juvie, not realizing who I was talking to at first. I thought he'd mistaken me for someone else, but I played along as to realize it was Nathan. Nate went on and on about his life and his temper problems. He was grounded and hanging out in his bedroom after getting into a fight in school because someone made fun of his girlfriend. According to Nate, he punched this dude and he flew clear across the classroom and outside the second-story window. Good God. Breaking his neck from the fall. He was then kicked out of school and just barely escaped being thrown into juvie, but his family had to move into a new neighborhood so he could attend a different school. Nathan wanted me to help him figure out why he was so strong and violent and how he could do the things he could do. At this point, I had suggested his gifts might be due to his genetic background, and he told me he was a mix of Native American, Italian, and English. Nothing too unusual here, other than the Native American genes, which sometimes can carry psychic gifts. And they do. He said his biological father was an expert marksman in the military, and he also had a nasty temper. It was so bad that, according to Nate, at one time he had almost killed his mother. Good God. Nate never really got to know his father much. He died of a heart attack from his rage issues when Nathan was only 7 years old. I wanted Nate to elaborate on why he thought someone could get a heart attack from rage, but he seems to be traumatized about the whole thing, and I sort of just dropped it. Yeah, that's interesting. Just like his father, he seemed to be suffering from the same anger management problems. Some of his stories were kind of funny, like the time when he was a boy on the playground and would pick fights with kids twice his age. When he was 9 years old, he grabbed an older 13-year-old boy that was picking on him and stuck him into a trash can. Good night. And if anyone pissed Nathan off, one time I caught him plotting revenge on those he got into fights with. But we got along okay, and Nathan even commented how unusual that was because normally he can't stand most people. At that time, he was taking lithium and Depakote for his ADHD and bipolar disorder. He thought he might be schizophrenic, but I think that was just his way of explaining away his psychic gifts. Nathan had no fear whatsoever. He told me when he was 9, and he was too embarrassed to admit his mood swings to his mother, so he decided to take his mental health into his own hands. Goodness. He jumped behind a pharmacist's counter and stole 4 bottles of lithium and left some money behind. Nathan was also suffering from at-risk behaviors. When I knew him, he was very promiscuous. He suffered from numerous blackouts. He was an avid cutter and claimed he tried to commit suicide 23 times unsuccessfully, but I felt this was an exaggeration, didn't take it too seriously. He said he had a special way of dealing with the suicidal urges. He would wear a rubber band on his wrist, and every time he felt like cutting himself, he would snap himself with that. Eventually, he revealed, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here because there's another paragraph. So until tomorrow, don't go hang and a good job, Tuwi me again, love you, mean it.